Under normal circumstances, finding a golden retriever puppy is pretty cut and dried. During a pandemic, not so much. In this episode of the I Can't See You podcast, I'll talk about our search to get a golden retriever puppy, and I'll also talk about an upcoming talent show.
From Studio C, welcome to the I Can't See You podcast with David. He can't see, but he's got a lot to say and a face for radio.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 89 of the I Can't See You podcast. My name is David, at David Benj on all the socials. I really appreciate you joining me for today's episode, and I have to tell you that I am wearing some I Can't See You merch, which I've ordered, and I'll talk about that for a little bit, because even though I've got a couple of dueling topics today, I don't want to say dueling, but I've got two topics to talk about. But let's talk about the merch first. I've been wanting to get I Can't See You t-shirts and some other things, and I found a place online, and I'm not going to mention the name here until the kinks get worked out, because I have a feeling we're not going to be using them. I set up a few items, and I want to say maybe 20 or so, and there's a lot of places online where they do this stuff called print on demand, and I've been looking around primarily for a face mask that has the logo, and I did get them, and I actually do like them. So those I might show, but the issue with the company, and like I said, I have a t-shirt on now. It's a little small, even though I got a large. And even though I was actually in the 154 range this morning, maybe next week I'll talk more about my about my diet. But I placed an order, and they're supposed to give, it says order samples. So I clicked on the order samples button. I pulled a couple of t-shirts in, and some of the t-shirts were very similarly priced. And when you order samples, obviously they give you, it's a 20 or 30% discount off of what the items actually will sell for, to encourage you to buy them and, hand them out or to test them out for quality. And that's basically what I did. I ordered a couple of t-shirts for me. I ordered a t-shirt for Liz, which is clearly going to be too small because I ordered her a large, and she likes a baggier t-shirt. So that hasn't come yet, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be too small, and it's in pink. So I probably will not be wearing it, but maybe Jane will. I ordered a couple of face masks. One I am going to send most likely to my friend Max, because we had talked about masks back and forth over the last couple of weeks or month. And I ordered a mug. Probably not a mug I will use for drinking, because it's only 11 ounces. And and to me, that's like a shot glass. So I have been looking around for the giant mugs that I use, both for my hot tea, which is 24 ounces, and for my iced tea, which is either 59 or 60 ounces. It's kind of horrifying how much tea I drink in a day. 2 cups of hot tea, so that's 48 ounces, and then 1 iced tea, it is 58 ounces or 60 ounces, whatever it is, but half of it is ice when I put it in. I usually only put about 30 ounces of actual tea in there, and probably another 2 ounces of lemon juice. No sugar. So I ordered these things, but they didn't charge me the right price. And I contacted customer service, and I haven't heard, and it's been about 10 days. So I'm thinking to myself, if I want a customer or a listener to order something, and then they either mess up the order or charge the wrong price, or, there's an issue, is it really going to take this long for somebody from customer service to get back to them? So I kind of have a feeling this is dead out of the gates, and I will continue the search for something better as far as I Can't See You merch. Now, I did also want to touch, and I'm sorry I put that off, because I was looking down at my t-shirt when I started, so I wanted to mention that. And I actually do like the look of it. Again, just a little tight. Shirt's not bad, but I like the way the logo came up on it, and it's a black t-shirt with the white logo. And I do like the look, but like I said, it's the other stuff that's not so good. So it is episode 89, and I have gotten into the habit, and a few people have talked to me about the way I name them, especially Dan. And this one is not a sports-related one. So I thought back, what happened in 1989 that might be, that I found significant and might be a good thing to call this episode. So 1989, a few things happened. George H.W. Bush became, took the oath of office in January. I don't want to get too political here, although I guess what I ended up with was kind of political anyway. The 49ers were in Super Bowl 23, won Super Bowl 23. I always like the number 23 because of the Blink-182 song, Nobody Likes You When You're 23. And that wasn't good enough either. But then I thought, there was a wave in the, starting in late summer and through the fall in Eastern Europe. Berlin Wall opened up. Czechoslovakia had the Velvet Revolution. And I thought, man, that is a great name for this episode. So that is what I'm going with. It's the Velvet Revolution episode. Sounds kind of nice. And Liz and I actually were in both the Czech Republic and Slovakia back just a few years after everything went down. Did a little touring in Prague and drove through Bratislava when we were in Vienna on a great trip to Austria. Boy, that was a long time ago. I want to say that was 1992 or 93. So it wasn't yesterday. It was before kids when we were still traveling quite a bit. And of course, nobody's traveling now. But the Velvet Revolution will have two parts to it. There are two things that I want to talk about. One, I kind of talked about last episode with the house and stuff like that. And when we decided we were going to buy this house, Jane came to me and said, now we can get a dog. And we have really missed having a dog. But because everybody and their brother wants a dog during the pandemic, we have been unable to get, find puppies. And I really have this great idea if it happens. And I don't know that it's going to happen, but Jane always shows me these TikToks, and I know everybody says TikTok is bad. Listen, those videos are funny. I love the ones with the dogs. The ones with the people, not so much, but the dogs I just love. I mean, and it doesn't matter what kind of dog I watch there, as long as they do something funny. And of course, it only ends up on TikTok if it's funny. If it's not funny, then nobody puts it up. But we're looking for a golden retriever puppy, or a lab puppy. We've been kicking around some names, and again, I don't know that it's going to happen. Initially when I thought years ago if we would ever get another dog, I always loved Charles Barkley for the Sixers, and I thought, we'll probably get a lab. I thought, we'll name him Barkley, and we were kind of on board with that. And again, we don't have a dog. We don't have one imminent. Some of the places that we've sent applications into haven't even been able to read our applications. Most of the folks don't get back to us. So I know they're busy. I get it. Again, everybody and their brother's trying to get a dog. So when we were kicking it around, Jane wasn't 100% on board because she looked up on social media. There's another dog named Barkley. Again, it's got that dual meaning because a dog barks. And, it was named after Charles Barkley, who was outspoken. So I thought, wait a second. Sometimes dogs or people are aptly named. And sometimes they're the opposite. I always laugh every time I see, Philadelphia's police commissioner. Her name is Danielle Outlaw. I mean, how funny is that? She's the head of the police in Philadelphia, yet her name is Outlaw. I think back to when Liz's sister Margaret got a dog. Her name is Bandit, and if you're friends with me on Facebook, she's the dog pictured in my profile picture. The dog absolutely loves me. I haven't seen the dog in probably 8 to 10 months. That's probably a whole episode I could talk about that. But I won't because it's family issues. But I do miss Bandit. Jane misses Bandit. There are other animals, not so much. So Margaret had texted me one day and said that Bandit had stolen money out of her wallet, had taken, I guess a 20 was kind of half in and half out of her wallet. And Bandit went over and snagged it out of there. And I said, listen, you named her Bandit. And so I started thinking about that, and I started thinking, oh, wait a minute, if we name this dog Barkley, and it's named after Charles Barkley, who is very outspoken, and a dog barks I thought that, maybe that's not the best name, because I don't want the dog barking all hours of the day and night. Now, if he'll sit in a studio with me and we can have a back and forth, maybe we could do a podcast. But so Barkley, I think, is out. Some other names we've kicked around are Gossamer. If you're familiar with the Warner Brothers cartoons, Bugs Bunny, Gossamer was the giant red-orange, not quite sure, I guess it was more red, monster that Bugs ends up sitting down on in one episode where he's saying monsters are such interesting people as he's doing the monster's nails. The monster, Gossamer, is sitting there and he's basically, he looks like just a giant, hairball with sneakers on. And I actually have a cell. I'll have to see if there's a picture of the cell online or take a picture of the cell of that going on. Of that scene of that short. So Gossamer's one, and that's, we're still thinking, well, Gossamer's a monster. We don't want the dog to be a monster. So we've kicked around some things like Macron. We would call it Mac. Those little, oh my God, I love those things. Those cookies, the French pastries that we get at La Durée in New York or wherever else they may be in the world. London, we've had them. Jane had them in France. I think when Jane did French exchange, I think her exchange student brought them to us from La Durée. They're just so good. I just love them, and I can't explain it. I love those things. So we thought about that, and so we're kicking around some other names, but of course it doesn't really matter about the name unless we get the dog. And obviously the timing is an issue because we don't settle on the house until mid-September, and we'll probably move in the end of September, early October once the renovation in the basement gets done. Otherwise, Jacob won't have a room and I won't have an office and Studio B. So we're looking for litters that are going to be born in the next couple of weeks to month, where we could get the dogs hopefully sometime in November or early December. I know probably not the best time to get a dog during winter or late fall when it may be rainy and yucky out, but looking forward to that. And since we had Zamboni, and Zamboni was our golden retriever that we had when the kids were little. He was born the same year as Jane, 97. He only lived till about a month short of his 7th birthday. He had an issue. There was a tumor near or on his heart, and that was just such a sad day when he died on August 3rd of 2004. It was just a bad day. And it, as I think I've mentioned in the past, it was funny how much everybody in the neighborhood loved him. People called us, our neighbors called us on the phone. They were in tears, and he was just a great dog. He was just outstanding. He loved playing with kids, and like I said, the kids were young, and at this point, Jane has even mentioned, she's like, I don't really remember a lot about him. Jane was 6 when he died, or actually, I guess she was 7 because her birthday's in January. So we're looking forward to having a dog run around the house. It's been pointed out that maybe a golden is going to be, or a lab for that matter, may be a little big for the house because it's not a very big house. But the backyard is pretty nice, and I think it'll be enough. I think it'd be all right. Well, we'll see. Who knows what happens. And I'm not set on a golden. I'd be okay with a lab, and I think Jane would be okay with a lab or a couple other breeds. But we've already said no to some of the breeds that Jane has suggested. Although the TikToks are very funny for Rottweilers and Pit Bulls and French Bulldogs. The French Bulldog is one that I'd consider, especially the way they bark and talk, and it seems like you can carry on a conversation with them. But for now, we're looking for puppy, either lab puppies or just one, or a golden retriever puppy. So if you know something, please reach out, whether it's via email, ican'tseeyou@gmail.com, ICANTCU podcast@gmail.com. Remember, it sounds like a whole sentence, but it is only 7 letters. And, I'm going to touch on something, now that I mentioned that. The way I write I can't see you, it's lowercase I, capital C, lowercase a, lowercase n, lowercase t, capital C, capital U. And I write it that way for a couple of reasons. I like the way it looks that way because you can then easily make out I and then can't and then C and then U. When it's all lowercase and VoiceOver is reading it, it says I can't coo. And it makes a difference to folks who use screen readers, for example, like me, or VoiceOver on my iPhone, how something is written as to how it's pronounced. Again, if it's all caps, like if you were to write IRS in all caps, it would say IRS. If you were to write it in lowercase, it would say ERS. And that brings me to a Facebook message that I got regarding the condo association here and my duties as president. And I was asked a question, and someone asked me, do we follow, and what I heard was Penahoa, so I thought it was just a typo for Pennsylvania. Well, when somebody else read it and actually read it, looked at it, Pennsylvania was abbreviated PENNA. And then the next word was HOA for homeowner association, but it was in lowercase. It was the next word. So it was Penahoa. Again, I heard it as, okay, yes, it's just a typo. It's Pennsylvania they meant. And I answered what I thought was to Pennsylvania. And so the question that I answered was technically not correct because I said, I believe that we follow, and they were asking about Pennsylvania. I thought they were asking about Pennsylvania state law as opposed to Pennsylvania HOA laws and rules and things like that, which of course, as a condominium association, you have to. I mean, there's no way around it. You can't not do it. And so, I felt dumb after that and was disappointed that I answered that way. Obviously, we follow the HOA guidelines and rules. In fact, when you buy a condo in the state of Pennsylvania, you have to get the rules and regs, basically a whole bunch of condo docs. And within those condo docs are the Pennsylvania HOA rules and regs. So it does make a difference, to folks who can't see how something is written. So if you write in all lowercase, it's going to sound, it sounds funny. And sometimes even regular words sound funny with VoiceOver and screen readers and things like that. And it's kind of interesting. I think I've mentioned before, if I'm reading something and it says nice, like, hey, that place looks nice, I will hear, and the screen reader will say, that place looks Nice, like the city in France. So it's just kind of funny sometimes. And sometimes with the speed that I'm listening, and again, I'm at around 75%, normal to me sounds in the 50 to 55 range. So I'm a little above what it is. And, maybe had I started listening at an earlier age, I'd be able to do, 90 to 100% like a lot of my blind friends do. You just kind of assume that, okay, I heard Penahoa, they meant Pennsylvania. Not quite sure what that is, but, I answered to Pennsylvania. So it does make a difference. And, just drop that in. That is that is not the second part of what I wanted to talk about today. The second part of what I wanted to get into today, as I've mentioned probably in every episode, I am the treasurer of the Keystone Chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. And what we're doing, our chapter is doing a talent show. And it kind of came together, I don't want to say quickly, but the idea came around probably a month or two ago. And we went back and forth with how are we going to do it. Obviously this year it's going to have to be virtual. It's going to have to be via Zoom or Facebook or YouTube. And we've kind of settled on Zoom at this point. It's going to be in October. Now, October is a big month for blind folks. And I didn't mean to stutter there. October is, and I guess it's an NFB thing. It's called Meet the Blind Month because so many people have never met a blind person. We try to do some outreach. And again, this year is going to be a little bit different. In past years, we've gone to our bank, which was Beneficial Bank, is now part of WSFS, which, just another shout out to them for helping us out at the beginning of the year when I took over as treasurer. And they really have bent over backwards. Their slogan is something like, we stand for service or something like that. I mean, it is very accurate. Which is, not usual in today's business climate. So, we would basically, stay in the lobby of the bank and, we'd have a little table and, people would come up to us and we'd sell our candy there, the dollar bag of M&Ms or, the other things like that we sell, as well as hand out literature and talk to folks. So, and some people, the last time we were there and did it, actually a city councilman from Philadelphia was banking at the branch that we were at 16th and Chestnut in Philadelphia, and he came over and just donated some money. And we didn't, of course, know who he was at the time, but after he left, the bank manager came over and said, "Oh, that was Councilman so-and-so." And I thought that was very cool, that he saw us there and came over and said hello and and donated a little bit of money. And it's not usually meant to be a money-making event, any Meet the Blind thing. It's to get out into the community and let folks see that, blind folks can get out and about. And so when we thought about this talent show, when we first started talking about it, we thought, when are we going to have it? And we thought, well, we could have it in late September. And I thought, man, that's... things are just getting back to school and, that might be difficult for some people, especially, performers who want to sign up. Their lives are going to be, already a little chaotic because, some kids are going back to school, in school, some are not, some are at home. So we thought, why don't we go into October? And if we go into October, it kind of ties in with Meet the Blind month. And another thing, part of Meet the Blind Month is White Cane Day, and that's the 15th of October. So on October 17th, we're going to have this event. And we have about 15 to 20 participants for our talent show. I am not one of them. And if anybody knows me, they'll know why I cannot sing. And now I may participate. I may, host a little bit of it. We haven't worked that stuff out yet. But I will not be singing or doing anything else in it because I have no talent. You can ask Stephanie Godin, whose birthday was yesterday, and Liz and I, for our close friends, we call up, as I've mentioned before, and sing happy birthday, and I'm sure it's something that makes people cringe and crack up at the same time. So I am not participating as someone of talent. Again, I might be hosting, but we are selling tickets to it. Again, there are prizes, and if you do have a talent and are visually impaired or blind, it's too late. You can't get in. You'll have to look for the event next year, which we're hoping next year we can do it in an actual theater where we can sell actual tickets, where people actually come to it and sit and watch and vote on who's the best. And so there are cash prizes for first, second, and third, and they're not much. I forget what we put. I think it's $75, $50, and $25. So we're selling tickets to it. So tickets are not on sale yet, and I'm going to get into that ticket bit in a minute. But they go on sale on Monday. I'll have in the show notes once they're finalized and once I have everything set, I will put links there. And if you follow me on social media, again, at David Benj everywhere, there will be an image where you can buy a ticket. And, you don't have to actually watch it if you don't want to. You can just buy the ticket. And so those will be coming up. But we kicked around a few names, and one of the things, there's a big stereotype. There's a big stereotype, which again I do not fall into, that all blind people can sing, and again, this blind person can, and I never could. Maybe I had too much vision as a kid. I don't know. And I never had, again, my vision was never great. So whatever, that skipped me. So we kept kicking the things around, and we were doing a play on words with blind and talent, and like Blind's Got Talent, and I came up with a couple of weird ones, and there were some that involved vision, and we thought, no, that's dumb. But we settled on Believe You Can. So the web address for the site that I'll be putting up again, hopefully in the next couple of days, is believeyoucan.live. So that's believeyoucan.live. If the event doesn't go well and we have to sell that domain off, I guess we can sell it to some sort of motivational person. Believe You Can Live. But that will be the domain, believeyoucan.live, and U is spelled out. So it's believe, Y-O-U, and then C-A-N. And I know you're thinking now, why didn't he spell believe? Maybe he doesn't know how to spell believe. I do. B-E-L-I-E-V-E. Okay. You happy now? Good. So, and that leads me to, we all have had different roles in getting things set up. Lisa, for example, has been the one who has been reaching out to and talking to the people who are going to participate in the talent show. She's been getting their information, and I'm hoping that I don't think we have them yet, but I'm hoping that we have at least some photos of the participants so we can put them on the website, just so there's more images. Again, to blind folks, it doesn't matter, but if you go there and you have sight, it'd be nice to have some images of people. On the site. She's been coordinating that and writing up a flyer. I will probably help with that flyer. I've been taking care of, I'm the one in charge of ticket sales. And again, it's because I'm treasurer of the chapter. So I have, the access to the PayPal account, and that's how we're going to sell the tickets. So there's going to be two tickets. There's going to be a $10 ticket. And we thought, well, somebody said, well, what if we want to sell more? What if a person wants to buy more than one? And I'm like, why would they buy more than one? Well, maybe they're going to watch with their family. I said, well, why don't we come up with two different things? So this way someone can either, buy the individual ticket because they're going to be sitting in front of their computer. Or if somebody is going to watch with a few people, whether they have people over, if they're in an area that it's safe to do that, or they're just going to watch with some family members, whatever. So we came up with what we call a watch party ticket, which is $25. So there's two tickets, 10 and 25. And I've been working on the graphics for those tickets because when you do a PayPal button, you can do a graphic. So it, will look nice. You can click on the graphic and then you go to PayPal and you pay your $10 or your $25. And let me tell you, I did the logo for the event, which is very basic, but I kind of like it. And, sometimes it doesn't have to be crazy over the top like some of the sports teams' logos. Thinking again, mostly on the minor league side, because the majors, they're not crazy over the top. Usually it's, they're, especially thinking of baseball, looking at some of the logos in an email that I got in the last couple of days, some of them, like for the Pirates, for example, it's just the yellow P, or for the Indians. And I used to love that Chief Wahoo. I have a t-shirt with him on it because even when things are bad, and that team was bad for a long time, that guy still had a great big smile on his face. He was happy. I have an Indians hat, and I always wore that when, if I got called into the video store late at night because the alarm was going off or there was some issue with the building because my parents owned the property that the video store was on and a supermarket was on. So I was always the one to get called because they might have been in Florida. They were older. I lived, at the time right down the street. So, Liz and I would go in and I always put the Chief on because, he was always smiling, as bad as things could be. So, again, I digress from that. But yeah, the Indians now, it's just the C. And I give that logo a C because it's just a C. Couldn't put something else on there or something. I don't know what. If you don't want to be, and I get it, some might find Indians offensive. calling a team that, or the Braves. I understand that. Although I talked to someone a few times over the last year, she had said something about Indian, and I said, "Oh, are you allowed to say that? Aren't you supposed to say Native American?" She said, "Well, I actually am Indian, and I don't find that offensive." Now she lives in Oklahoma, and I guess it's okay. Again, it's things are a little different now, so who knows. So again, the logo I have for the event, very, very basic. I did a star. I removed part of it. I put the wording in and, put 2020 because, again, the hopes are to do multiple versions of this. But doing the design work, both for the logo and then for the tickets, I realized a couple of things. I'm not very good at it, but I love doing it. And I'm not very good at it primarily because of my vision, and I have to have a pair of eyes look at it to say, hey, how does this look? In fact, the ticket that I did was working on, I sent it to Liz and I said, tell me all the things that you look funny or don't look right. And, so she gave me her feedback on it. And I then thought, I'm stupid because there's Canva. I just need a ticket. I didn't know what size to do. And I don't know why I didn't think about just going to Canva to do it. I do a lot when I post on Instagram about an episode. I usually go to Canva to do it because they have templates so that you can remove stuff and add stuff. So when you see an Instagram post from me that has the web URL for a podcast episode, that was more than likely done at Canva, canva.com, Canva. So if you need any kind of graphics, it's free. Most of the stuff is free. Very cool. And I actually, my friend Alex had mentioned something a few months back, and it was something about a boat. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he mentioned something, and he said there should be a T-shirt for that. So I said, oh, that's kind of funny. I'm going to go. And so I went over to Canva and I typed in whatever it was he said, and I don't remember what it was. And he said, oh my God, that's very cool. Where'd you see that? And I said, well, I made it. I said, it's here, and you can order it if you want it. It was the shirt was around $20. I don't think the quality was that great. I can't remember what he said about it, but it was not an option for I Can't See You merch. And as I'm doing this and working through trying to do this ticket and spending hours on formatting different text and getting it just about right. And again, like I've mentioned in the past, something that you do with vision takes me that much longer with very little vision. And that is so frustrating to most of the blind folks that I talk to, because that's one of our biggest complaints, how long it takes us to do certain things. And that was the issue. I spent probably an hour on this thing last night to make this ticket. And then I had to have somebody look at it to make sure the spacing look right. Does this look right? Meanwhile, had I just gone to Canva at the beginning, because I didn't think about it, I don't know why. I guess because I did the logo in Illustrator, and I figured I'd do the ticket in Adobe Illustrator. Boy, was that a dumb move, not going to Canva. So I started to do it, but it got late, and I figured I'll finish it today. And again, once those tickets are done, they will be on the show notes page. And again, I'll share them on social media. So if you're friends on Facebook or you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see them there. I hope you, and I ask for your support on that, again, because 2020 has been such a crazy year. We haven't been able to do any kind of fundraising outside like we usually do, whether it's Meet the Blind Month, where we meet people in person, or where we sell, and when I say we, I really mean Harriet, sells M&Ms, and other people do too, but nobody does it as good as her. She's the president of the chapter, and she doesn't take no for an answer, and she doesn't care, if you're just walking by, she will stop you to ask if you want to buy M&Ms. So I really would ask for your support. Again, it will, the main page is going to be believeyoucan.live. That's LIVE, believeyoucan.live. And again, tickets go on sale on Monday, which is the 31st of August, as I'm recording this on Wednesday, the day before it comes out. I'm not quite sure the date. It's the 26th of August. Man, I can't. Crazy, right? Years heading into the home stretch. Yes, I would ask for your support. And again, when I post this episode on Facebook, I'll mention the BelieveYouCan.live, and that would be great if you could help the Keystone chapter. We've got some things coming up towards the end of the year, and I'm not sure how they're going to shake out with the pandemic, but St. Lucy's, which I've touched on in the past, Liz and I went last year. Every year at Christmas time, we usually get all the students at the school, and it's a school for blind and visually impaired kids, as well as deaf kids. And there's not too many deaf or hearing impaired kids. I want to say last year there was 4, but they go through 8th grade, and then kids usually move on to one of the Catholic high schools, and I can't remember which one. I want to say Archbishop Ryan, I think. Once they move on, we don't really have too much contact with them. Unless they remembered, hey, I got this great gift all these years when I was at St. Lucy's from the Keystone chapter. I should check them out because I need some help getting into college, or I need a scholarship, or whatever. It would be, it helps these kids out. The kids get so excited for the gifts, as I've mentioned before. And last year we actually also took cupcakes. So they got both a gift and a cupcake, except for that one bad kid who hopefully got a gift, but I know for sure did not get a cupcake. He was in the principal's office. I don't remember his name, and I felt bad for him. But he did something wrong. And I don't remember what it was. We do things like that. And again, we help other folks, other blind and visually impaired folks in and around the city of Philadelphia. Not typically the people in the chapter benefit from the fundraising, but on occasion, there are times like when there might be something that we use money to purchase for the good of the chapter. I can't think of anything over the last year or two that comes to mind, but again, usually it's folks that are outside of the chapter that need help one way or another, whether it's learning Braille or just helping kids along, and understand that, hey, there's other folks out there that are like them. They can't see. They're blind. I've been told you should use blind most of all, not other things like visually impaired. You can't see, you can't see. You're blind. And, while it's not a funny thing, someone said to me over the last week, it's like the blind leading the blind, and I wasn't the one leading or part of being led. And they again, like in the past where sometimes people refrain from using those statements around me, I was happy they didn't, because it is what it is. And again, some people will say, oh, well, how do you do those designs if you can't see anything? I said, well, I can see a little, and and that's the problem. I could see enough to make me want to do it and try to do it. But as an affiliate marketing guy once told me, if it takes you more than 15 minutes to do something, hire somebody to do it so it gets done and you can move on. And yesterday was just one of those days where, I was working on that ticket, didn't come out great, and I wasn't real happy with it. So I sent it to Liz for her opinion. As I mentioned, she came back with a few suggestions, but I think I'm going to scrap it all together and, just go to Canva and just use one of their templates and go from there. Then I had another issue trying to change something that took me, what should have taken me about 3 minutes, took me more than an hour, I'm sure, and it was changing. I noticed in the signature of my main email account, not the ican'tseeyouPodcast@gmail.com, but the one I use for my personal email. And I noticed that the word podcast for Apple Podcast, it said I left the S off. And, of course, it has a link. I list Apple Podcasts, I list Spotify, and I list iHeart Radio. Well, I wanted to just change Apple Podcast to Apple Podcasts, plural. And like I said, I did it a million times in the signature trying to fix it, and tried, and I was so frustrated by the time the night was over that, I had emailed Liz about the ticket, and I said to her, I'm beyond frustrated with this. You can see down below my signature looks funny. Well, right after I sent that, I thought of a couple other things I could try, and finally I got it to work right, and then I went to bed very late or early, depending on your idea of time. Again, it's like I said, I love doing the graphic stuff. I love doing the web stuff, but it just takes me so long to do so many of the things that it's just not worth it for me to do. So I'm hoping that when I actually do the BelieveYouCan.live website, it is not a complete mess and taking me a whole heap longer than it should, because it's basically going to be a one-page site that has links to PayPal, so you can buy the tickets and be on your way, and you'll get the information you need at at BelieveYouCan.live. And again, I'd appreciate your support there. If you could, that would be great. And again, if you want to support the podcast, you could always go to iCan'tSeeYou.com/Amazon. That will take you right to Amazon. You make a purchase, we get a little commission. That would be greatly appreciated as well. But for now, I really, we're pushing the Keystone chapter, and our monies are, a lot less than we've usually taken in, and as I mentioned, because of the pandemic. So, any way you could help out the Keystone chapter would be appreciated, and that includes buying from White Cane Coffee Company. And again, that's iCan'tSeeYou.com/coffee. That will take you right to the White Cane Coffee site, and any purchase you make there, we get a commission as well. Or again, BelieveYouCan.live, starting on Monday, where the tickets will be on sale. And again, there's a $10 and a $25. And again, I'd really appreciate your support. And that is really all I have today. I had a couple extra things that I didn't think I'd be talking about, but I really appreciate you listening. This has been episode 89, the Velvet Revolution episode of the I Can't See You podcast. My name is David, at David Benj on all the socials. Come on over and check out Instagram. I'm over 200 followers, so that'd be great if you joined in and checked out some of my pics. And it'd be great to connect with you. Again, I do appreciate you listening to these podcasts today. And please remember to wash your hands and wear your mask and stay safe. Talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to the I Can't See You podcast. Follow David on Twitter. He is at David Benj.